You'll be amazed by the most hidden details behind Starbucks' rise to success. This brand is hiding one of the most remarkable revenge stories ever told. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. And don't forget to subscribe while sipping your coffee. Today, Starbucks is recognized as one of the most widespread and most recognizable coffee brands in the world. It appears in almost every major city, airport, and business district. Yet the story of Starbucks is not simply the story of a successful company's growth. It is part of a much larger story, one that explains how modern urban life has been shaped. As cities expanded, people became increasingly isolated within crowds. Public spaces diminished, and the ways people socialized began to change. Starbucks emerged precisely within this gap. The rise of Starbucks cannot be explained solely by humanity's need for caffeine. It is about belonging, about stopping, about waiting, and about the right to exist without urgency. To understand Starbucks, one must look beyond coffee beans and examine the emotional state of the modern urban individual. Because Starbucks sold not just a beverage, but an experience and eventually, a habit. In the early 1970s, the United States was experiencing a major economic and cultural rupture. Industrial society was giving way to a service-based economy. Factories were losing relevance while offices multiplied. People were no longer primarily producing goods. They were managing, organizing, and serving. This transformation accelerated the rhythm of cities. Morning commutes, lunch breaks, and evening returns became sharply defined. During this period, coffee was a purely functional drink consumed to stay awake. Nothing more. When Starbucks opened in Seattle in 1971, it belonged entirely to this world. It was a small store that sold high-quality coffee beans. There was no intention for customers to linger. No vision of becoming a global chain. Starbucks at that time had no ambition to shape culture. It was simply a store that sold good coffee. When we go a little further back in time, Starbucks was founded by the three partners you see on screen: Gordon Bowe, Jerry Baldwin, and Zev Siegel. Their sales grew so rapidly that they caught the attention of Howard Schultz, who was working among coffee wholesalers. He tried very hard to join them. Even though he had a good job, people warned him not to take such a risk. But that didn't stop Howard. He spoke to the partners, but they initially refused to bring him in. For an entire year, Howard kept meeting with them, and in the end, he managed to convince them to accept him. Later on, he wanted to make changes. But when the other partners wouldn't agree, he went on to start his own coffee company. Then, when he learned that Starbucks was for sale, he found investors, bought Starbucks, and suddenly there were no limits to turning his ideas into reality. So what was the idea he had in mind? By the 1980s, individualism in America had intensified. People were freer, yet more disconnected. Neighborhood culture weakened. Face-to-face interactions declined, and life became more structured but also lonelier. The separation between work and private life grew rigid. People traveled to one place to work and another to live. The espresso bars Howard Schultz encountered in Italy gained meaning precisely at this moment. These were not merely places where coffee was consumed. People stood, talked, recognized one another. No one rushed. Schultz realized that this kind of social space was missing in American cities. What he envisioned for Starbucks was not simply better coffee, but a transformation in how people shared space. When Schultz acquired Starbucks, his move was not a conventional business decision. He was introducing a new layer into American consumer culture. Starbucks transformed coffee from something consumed at home or in cars into a public yet controlled experience. People were no longer fully at home, nor fully at work. This is where the concept of the third place became central. Home was the first place, work the second, Starbucks offered something in between, a space that belonged to no one, yet was open to everyone. People could come alone or meet others. This ambiguity gave the space its power. From an economic perspective, Starbucks' most intelligent move was pricing time rather than the product. What customers paid for was not just coffee. It included the right to sip, to linger without pressure, to use Wi-Fi, and to feel safe. This was particularly attractive to white-collar workers. Starbucks offered a place that was not an office, yet functioned like one. At a time when remote work was not yet common, Starbucks quietly became part of the infrastructure of modern working life. As the service economy expanded, Starbucks became its spatial counterpart. As globalization accelerated in the 1990s, Starbucks expanded rapidly, but this expansion did not take the form of identical stores everywhere. Starbucks did not completely erase local architecture, customs, or cultural codes. As a result, it became a global brand that did not feel entirely foreign. This approach partially protected Starbucks from accusations of cultural imperialism. The brand managed to be global while still feeling familiar. Customers felt connected to the wider world without feeling culturally displaced. Yet, growth is not always healthy. In the mid-2000s, Starbucks faced the consequences of overextension. As the number of stores increased, the experience became standardized. The sense of the third place began to erode. This period revealed one of the core problems of modern capitalism. As scale grows, spirit is often lost. Starbucks recognized this risk and chose to pull back, a rare reflex for a global corporation. With Howard Schultz's return, Starbucks underwent not only an operational restructuring, but an ideological one. Coffee quality was elevated. Baristas were once again placed at the center of the experience. Starbucks repositioned itself not as a point of sale, but as a brand built around human experience. During this phase, ethical sourcing, environmental sustainability, and corporate responsibility became integral parts of Starbucks' identity. In an era of rising conscious consumption, this shift was both a moral stance and a strategic move. To help me keep making videos and improve myself, you can buy me a coffee via the Buy Me a Coffee link below. You can also support me by subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment. These mean a lot to me and are very important for creating content. Thank you. Now let's get back to the video. The 2008 global financial crisis became a serious test for as consumers cut back on spending. Starbucks' ability to survive demonstrated that it had become more than a luxury, it had become a habit. Starbucks was embedded in daily routine. This revealed that the brand possessed not only economic resilience, but psychological resilience as well. Even in times of crisis, people did not fully abandon Starbucks. In the age of digitalization, Starbucks strengthened its bond with customers through technology. Mobile applications, loyalty programs, and personalized offers transformed Starbucks into a digital habit. It was no longer just a physical space, it lived in people's pockets. This shift also placed Starbucks within broader debates about surveillance, capitalism. The brand became one of many that used data to deepen engagement and refine experience. Culturally, Starbucks turned coffee into a status symbol. Cups, logos, and interiors became identity objects shared on social media. Starbucks sold not the coffee itself, but the lifestyle it represented. This positioned the brand at the center of popular culture while simultaneously making it a focal point of criticism. Today, Starbucks is one of the invisible infrastructures of modern urban life. It exists in airports, business districts, and commercial centers. Starbucks' success lies in its ability to read human behavior and translate it into a commercial system. Yet this success also reveals the limits of modern consumer culture. The story of Starbucks tells us this: major brands do not merely sell products. They produce habits, behaviors, and culture. The rise of Starbucks is not the story of coffee, it is the story of the modern individual. And this story will continue to be written as cities evolve, as people grow more isolated, and as the need for new third places persists.